sports gamer.
With the signing of a new collective bargaining agreement, baseball is officially back, and that means it's time for another installment of the popular MLB The Show series. Coming off a year that saw the series expand to other consoles for the first time, San Diego Studios is again introducing the game to a new console, the Nintendo Switch. Though MLB The Show 21 was viewed by most to be a thorough success, technical issues and a bevy of complaints from fans of all game modes have put SDS in a position where they needed to deliver on community-requested updates and fixes. Have they pulled it off? Or is the series getting down to its final strike? Let's find out as we take a look at MLB The Show 22.
That one off the bad part of the bat, just a lazy fly ball. In comes the winning run, and the Yankees walk it off in extra innings.
The gameplay of MLB The Show has always been among the most authentic of any of the major sports games on the market. And this is no different this year as the on-field gameplay continues to feel authentic to what you see in real life. 2 new difficulties have been added, Amateur and Minors. These are set below rookie level and hope to give new players a gradual climb as they get used to the mechanics of the game. A new hitting interface, Timing, offers another chance for new players to get used to the game before challenging themselves with the more advanced settings. Besides these changes, not much has really changed with pitching and hitting. The main change to hitting is with zone hitting in particular, as the PCI will now shrink as you move it towards the edges of the strike zone. This means it'll now be harder for players to hit pitches far outside the zone. Similarly, the accuracy of pitches will now be affected more by their positioning as well. Breaking balls high in the zone will now be less accurate in general. This helps promote pitching strategies that we actually see in real life. In the field, player skill is now more important than ever. The perfect throw mechanic is now extended to all bases, so if you're able to hit the right spot on the button accuracy meter, you will be able to place your throw in the perfect spot for your teammate to make the tag on a base runner. With its wide range of difficulties and gameplay settings, MLB The Show continues to allow players to find the perfect balance between a competitive challenge and a leisurely pastime. Somehow, it also manages to do this while still maintaining its authenticity to the license it bears. When it comes to gameplay in AAA sports games, MLB The Show is unrivaled. Just like its gameplay options, MLB The Show 22 also offers an impressive assortment of game modes. This large number of modes also complements the idea of letting players choose how they want to play, either single or multiplayer. The 4 main modes in the game remain Road to the Show, Diamond Dynasty, March to October, and Franchise. As usual, Diamond Dynasty received the most significant updates this year. Beyond the new live content that will fill the mode throughout the MLB season, Diamond Dynasty has a lot of new content to offer players. A new single-player mode, Mini Seasons, allows offline players to take their squad up against the CPU in 28-game seasons. Players can earn significant rewards by making the postseason and winning multiple mini-season championships. Several other modes in Diamond Dynasty received small quality-of-life improvements such as increased sim speed and conquest, saving lineups in events, and so on. Multiplayer modes have also been adjusted to now give players that may not be the most competitive a chance to earn the great rewards that these modes offer. Changes like this are why Diamond Dynasty has the reputation as the best of the card collecting modes in sports gaming, because it allows players to earn the best items in the game without having to spend extra money. One change, however, that has fans questioning that reputation is the introduction of featured programs. This new feature takes the very popular Team Affinity and Inning programs from MLB The Show 21 and condenses them. However, the only thing that seems to be condensed is the rewards. In the first featured program, Faces of the Franchise, players can only earn 12 of the 30 bosses in the program through gameplay, and 6 of those 12 are randomly selected. While the rewards seem to have been condensed, the grind has not. To earn those 12 bosses, players will need to earn over 400,000 XP in less than a month, a tall task for those that don't have a large amount of time to spend playing the game. While it is possible that players will have the chance later on in the game cycle to earn these bosses through gameplay again, this still feels like a slippery slope that SDS needs to be careful about going down. Otherwise, they risk their good reputation going the way of Madden and NBA 2K. It has to be hard for fans of franchise mode to feel like they're actually important to SDS with the little number of additions to the mode in the last few years. This year appears no different, as the main change this year is improvements to trade logic. which was supposed to be the main improvement last year. And the year before that. Now, early on in my time with the game, I still saw awful trades where big-name players like Juan Soto and Jazz Chisholm Jr. were being traded away for pennies on the dollar. However, a patch during the early access period seems to have fixed this problem. In my simulations after the patch, I see far fewer lopsided trades, and more trades where it looks like a team is trying to find that one last piece before making a title run, and the package they end up giving up for that player seems to be a lot more reasonable. Other updates to the mode include some changes to reflect the new CBA that was recently signed. Things like Universal DH and the Extra Innings Runner, which were already options in the game, are now set to default. Contract and budget restrictions have also been updated based on the new CBA. However, the 12-team expanded playoff is still absent. It's hard to think that SDS won't patch the new format in at some point this year, as the agreement did only come a few short weeks ago. Just be aware that as of right now, the playoffs still reflect the old format. Meanwhile, Franchise Mode's younger cousin, March to October, returns with some big new additions this year. The mode now lasts more than just 1 year, as players can choose to continue into the new off-season period in the mode. This seems promising at first until you realize that this new off-season period is just free agency. You're not able to re-sign your own players unless you sign them as free agents. You cannot offer arbitration, make trades, or even participate in the Rule 5 draft. This theme of missing features seems to be constant throughout March to October, and feels like it holds the mode back from being a true successor to Franchise Mode. In March to October, there is no first-year player draft. There's also no way to view the calendar to give you a feel for how much time is left in the season. And my biggest gripe in the mode is that there's no option to skip certain situations you don't feel like hopping into. I might be alone in this, but I don't like loading into a game in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs and down 2 runs. I feel like I don't really have a chance to make that comeback, and I would rather just skip it and move on. For what is supposed to be a streamlined version of Franchise Mode, it feels like it actually takes longer to get through a season in March to October than it does simming with critical situations on in Franchise Mode. After taking a big step in Road to the Show last year by introducing two-way players, MLB The Show 22 adds a few quality of life features to this mode as well. Players will now be able to create up to 10 ball players and will no longer be forced to start out as a two-way player. However, the progression in Road to the Show still feels like a poor concept in general. Even though Diamond Dynasty missions to progress your ball player were taken out, you can still only progress your attributes to 50 through gameplay. All the rest is determined by your archetype items, perks, and equipment. If you do decide to create a new ball player, you're going to start out with all of the items you've already unlocked. This means you can start a brand new Road to the Show later on in the year with an 80 overall player in the minor leagues if you have the right perks and equipment. These perks and equipment can also be conveniently purchased in the marketplace. This hurts the replayability of the mode as it makes the grind of creating a ball player something you can really only do once per archetype. In the presentation department, MLB The Show has been in a desperate need of a makeover for a good bit now, and boy did it get one. Though the MLB Network broadcast style is gone, MLB The Show 22 brings 2 brand new broadcast styles. The show theme returns with upgraded graphics, and the new regional theme is specific to the home team. This makes you feel immersed as you see a unique style for each regional game. Meanwhile, seeing the show theme pop up makes you feel like you're going into that big primetime matchup. Also, in modes like Road to the Show and Franchise, the new bottom line will give you updates from around your league, which helps increase the immersion you feel while playing. The commentary was also revamped this year with a brand new team. John Boogs Gamby and Chris Singleton are the new guys in the booth this year, and the commentary does sound really good.
The Yankees with a chance to add some cushion to their division lead. Singy, how important is it for them to get a W today?
You know, Boog, most individual games, I wouldn't say they're must win, but these guys really don't want to give up the division lead after they just got it, especially so late in the season. I just think they're going to stay with the original call. Just not seeing enough to overturn it.
Now this one is smoked down the left field line. On its way, if it's fair, out of here.
Now, often when I play sports games like MLB The Show, I do it on mute with YouTube or Spotify on in the background, but I took some time specifically to listen to this new team. There were a few moments where I heard lines be repeated, but that's going to happen, especially in the first year with a new team. But overall, it was a great first year for the pair, and I really look forward to seeing them continue the role in the future. Graphics-wise, though, the game looks pretty unchanged. I played this game on the Xbox Series S console, and player models looked similar, if not identical, to how they did in MLB The Show 21. It still feels like the game is being held back by the technical limitations of previous generation consoles. It's unclear if or when the series will leave the older consoles behind, but it's clear that a graphical update is needed to push the game into the next generation. MLB The Show 21 was plagued all year with server and technical issues, and sadly, those seem to have returned with MLB The Show 22. It can still be difficult to connect to the servers, and at times it's downright impossible. This worries me because when the game enters full release, there will be even more players trying to get online than there were during my early access time with the game. Now usually, this would only affect online modes like Diamond Dynasty, but the integration of Road to the Show in March to October with Diamond Dynasty now requires servers to be working properly to get the most out of 3 of the 4 main modes. Players dealt with this issue up through the final days of MLB The Show 21, and the fact that it is still not improved now is unavoidable. It does not matter how good the game is if the server problems prevent people from playing it. Speaking of Diamond Dynasty, during the early access period of the game there have been several bugs and issues with the mode. In the hours after release, players saw their marketplace orders vanish into thin air. They were not completed, did not show up in active orders, and did not return stubs to players. I saw almost 20,000 stubs worth of my orders just disappear entirely. However, a fix deployed by SDS was able to fix this problem for most players, including myself, and they say they are still working on fixing the problem for those still affected. Several players have also reported not being rewarded wins within the Diamond Dynasty modes like Ranked Seasons, Mini Seasons, and Battle Royale, although I personally have not encountered this issue myself. On top of this, blue screening and freeze-off have again been reported by players following a patch during the early access period. Gameplay bugs have been few and far between. The only main bug I have encountered comes when player locked with an outfielder, such as in Road to the Show. Sometimes when a ball is hit over my player's head, I'll be automatically sucked in towards the infield, making an already difficult play downright impossible. Coming off one of the best-selling iterations in the series' history, MLB The Show 22 seems to take the "if it isn't broke, don't fix it" approach this year. San Diego Studios seems to have taken the biggest gripes of the community and focused on fixing as many of those as possible, which they should be commended for. Gameplay is just as impressive and enjoyable as ever, and the wide range of modes and options makes recommending this game to new players very easy. The new presentation and comedy have also brought a much-needed breath of fresh air into the game. That being said, there are still some problems that detract from the overall experience. Server and technical issues, as well as minimal new features to modes like Road to the Show and Franchise, could make some feel like this is just MLB The Show 21.5. However, I do feel there are enough improvements here to get old and new players excited for this year's version of the game. I also feel like SDS needs to start getting creative soon with new features if they don't want the series to get stale. For all MLB The Show 22 news and updates, stay tuned to Sports Gamers Online. I'm Brandon Satterwhite with SGO. Thank you for watching.
And now here is Babe Ruth. Now a rocket to right center. Way back there. And forget it. It's out of here.